Welcome back to the F124 driver career. We are in Belgium this time around. Thankfully it's dry today, as you can see, so we have a little bit of smattering of rain for practice, but once we get to the meaningful sessions, sunshine and sunshine only. Hallelujah. We will switch and have the balanced tyre setup, or balanced tyre allocation, should I say. We have switched for the balanced tyre allocation for this Grand Prix weekend. We are now actually at the Grand Prix weekend, so I couldn't change it now, even if I wanted to. We are 145 points behind Charles Leclerc. Tears. But we did get a decent P7 and fastest lap in Hungary, although obviously would have liked to have done better. Silverstone could have gone significantly better, but Belgium is a track where we picked up a podium and a P2 last year, and in the first season we got a P3 podium at Haas, which was the first race where we really saw the giant improvements in that car when it started to turn around. So I'm cautiously optimistic of a strong weekend here. I'd very much like to end the weekend significantly closer to Alonso and Verstappen and back above Lando Norris, if possible, please. And of course, if Charles Leclerc would like the DNF for every race for the remainder of the season, then that would be very, very kind of him indeed as well. We continually have the strongest car out there, although Aston Martin and McLaren are now right with us as they continue to make improvements, and we've levelled off considerably because, well, I can't do anything to the car and Charles isn't doing much to the car himself either. So I'll go and make sure I've got my specialists where I need them, although quite frankly they're all maxed out now apart from the strategy analyst, which is behind me, and that's unavailable this weekend. So actually I'll just go straight to practice. I love Spa. It's been redesigned, of course, or updated with LiDAR for this game, and it looks great. And hopefully it'll drive great for us again this weekend as well. Hoping for a podium, and you never know, maybe even the top step. Drop the video a like if you're enjoying this save. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and you won't miss out on any more. The player career mode will have returned to you now as well after my brief unwell hiatus. And we're back in action across the board everywhere now. So, well, let's get back to action, shall we? Practice points have been accrued, and quite frankly, there's not really much point us showing you the practice point gain at the minute, because you can see I've got 7,600 top right, and you know already that I can't utilise any of that until my reputation is significantly higher, which it won't be for a significantly long period of time. So just putting the fresher bits in now for what is obviously a very power-hungry, power-dependent track. So we want as fresher bits in really as we're likely to be able to be used, other than putting brand new things in everything. We tried a handful of setups there in that session in terms of practice, where we had a higher downforce setup, a lower downforce setup, then I kind of found a middle ground where I think I'm probably going to be best sat for the weekend, but it's definitely more race focused than quali focused. But we should be all right to get ourselves through to Q3. Of that, I've not really got much concern at all. It's a case of how close to the top 5 can we get without having to consider potentially taking a slightly different route with front wing downforce. Wait and see. I've not done a proper quali run yet, so I don't know how competitive I actually am. So 40.1, which is by far and away the fastest time I've set all weekend, and puts us first. But that's only Q1. We still need to do it 2 more times to start on pole, but it's not a bad way to begin in qualifying, and it's close between myself and my teammate, who rather evidently on those results are hand and fist faster than anybody else in this Ferrari around this circuit. Ollie Behrman out in his Red Bull in Q1, Daniel Ricciardo equally, but everyone else you would expect to be in the top 10 is there. So far we lead the way. 2 more sessions to go. Oh, that was awful. Terrible exit. 40.6. I hope that gets me through. Terrible exit of bus stop. 5th. Okay, it is comfortably through. There's definitely another 3 or 4 tenths in that as a minimum. I think a 40.1 is probably... The lap time we put in Q1 is probably my limit, really. I don't know as I've got a 39 in me, but we definitely could have put another 40.1 or 2 in with that previous lap. So pole is probably out of the question, but starting inside the top 5 is absolutely doable here. Mid-39s, 39.5 there. That's so wide. Only on for an early 40 point something at the minute. So 39.8, which is my best lap by a long way of the weekend. A good 3 tenths or so. It's good enough for third. I'll take third. I certainly didn't expect to be in the top 3 when I saw Charles Leclerc put a 39.5 in when I was halfway around my lap. Lando Norris within a tenth and a half of him. Myself, twice that plus a little bit further behind, and then twice me plus a little bit further behind. The top 3 is Max Verstappen in 4th. So in terms of outright one-lap pace, we're in with a shout of a podium. In terms of what the race pace is like, and the tyre wear and the fuel usage and in general raceability of the car with this setup, we shall wait and see. But in the hunt, we can pray for grid penalties for someone like Charles Leclerc or Lando Norris, but A, it's not going to happen, and B, even if it did, they'd probably be back through the field so quickly it wouldn't make that much of a difference anyway. We, however, will start third, right behind our teammate. Pole actually isn't the best place to start here in Belgium because of course, that run down the Kemmel Straight where the first DRS zone is on the first lap. You're basically giving everybody behind you, who's going to be right behind you, a giant slipstream. Big penalty for Alonso there, starting 17th though. We'll see if he can test that theory about how quickly those quick runners would make it back through the field by seeing how Fernando Alonso does in this Grand Prix. I believe it's probably going to be a soft-medium one-stop or a medium-soft one-stop. It reckons I'm going to be a little slower, my tyre wear is going to be a little higher. I'd be tempted. It actually reckons the alternate... It's got me defaulting to a slightly, in theory, slower two-stop strategy. Mixed soft and medium runners. I would be tempted to start on the yellow striped medium tyres, take them as far as they'll go, and then see what we can do with the soft tyre stint at the end of the race. I might like to swap that round, you know, and do it that way and see what we can come up with. If the medium doesn't last, then we know we've got another set of mediums we can go to, or a slightly more worn set of softs we can go to later in the stint. But I think starting on the medium tyre is probably the way forward. Because the softs under heavy load are just going to rip themselves to pieces around Spa with all the fuel on board. He said 93.3 it recommended my fuel to start with in terms of the practice program. In theory, it's telling me to do 95 kilos plus. Well, Charles is starting on the softs, so I will, as Sokma says in chat, I will do the opposite of Charles Leclerc so that we're not worried about crossing pit stop windows. And hopefully, we'll be able to go from P3 to P1 by the end of the race. Lots of mixed strategies at play here today.
Okay, good parking there, mate. Now we need to make sure we get a great launch.
Which one is the right one? Time will tell. Whether everyone is on a one stop or everyone is on a two stop. Or there are mixed strategies at play between everyone else as well. We shall wait and see. It's a lightning start from Max Verstappen on his softs. Really, really quick from the Red Bull. Have to use a bit of battery here to keep up. We need to keep Charles in touching distance. And we have a straight line speed advantage on the Red Bull. So I'm going to go aggressive and I'm going to go for the overtake. And I will have my third place back, please, Mr. Verstappen. Thank you. Now then, sticking with... Oh, car's heavy. Does not want to turn. Sticking with Lando and Charles may well be difficult in these opening stages, especially if Max Verstappen is going to, in no uncertain terms, push me out of the way. We've got a fight on our hands even before we've finished half a lap here, but it's an adjustment. Figuring out how the car's going to handle with a full fuel load on board, evidently. I would very much like to try and maintain as many positions as I can at this stage, but it is proving difficult to do so with a very lumbery, boaty car right now. Right, DRS will be enabled at the end of this lap. The question is, am I going to be close enough to anyone to actually utilise any of it? After using a lot of battery there to get back within touching distance of Max, the answer is going to be, hopefully, yes.
Okay, DRS will be enabled this lap. You can use it when you're within 1 second of the car ahead and in the DRS zone.
A lot of wheel spin on exit there, and that's going to cost me my potential DRS, annoyingly. That's frustrating. Oh God, the car is just a boat. Car feels horrendous on full, under fuel load. It feels understeery, but then on turning is more responsive. Like, I don't get it. I'm on medium tyres, not softs. And on turning, it's more responsive than it was in qualifying. What? How is that a thing? We're taking a bit of getting used to this heavy fuel load. That's quite unpredictable at the minute. It'll turn in really sharply, but then, as the weight transfers, all that fuel sloshes about, and I get bucket loads of understeer. Lando's not disappearing away from Max. Charles is disappearing away from Lando. I am curious about strategies, actually, at this stage.
Verstappen's ahead of you.
See if Verstappen is two-stopping or one-stopping.
0.9 seconds. They're on fresh softs. Their tyres are 2 laps old. We think they've got one more stop. Time last lap, 1 minute 45.1.
Fastest lap of the race for me.
By 1/10 a lap.
Max is one-stopping on his softs. No surprise. And I imagine everyone on mediums is also one-stopping. So it's a case of whether Charles is 1 or 2ing. In a minute, we don't know. I could actually probably ask here.
Look out for a bit of understeer when trailing the car
Save
ahead.
battery here just to see
Air,
what it would be like in terms of the loss of time. And actually, it's not much to George behind. And Verstappen and Norris fighting here just brought them significantly closer back to us. It is allowing Charles to disappear. But we're not getting held up here at the moment because we weren't quite close enough to lose any time as they fought. If they continue to fight, we will. Now I want to ask about my teammate and see how long
3.1 seconds.
it is between we expect him to stop. Is he going to stop once or twice? They're not going to tell me. They're not going to tell me how many times Charles Leclerc is planning on stopping. I imagine 1, similar to Max, but you can't presume such things most of the time because that's where mistakes get made. You make assumptions about what someone's going to do, they do something entirely differently, and it scuppers what you'd planned to do to respond to what you thought they were. Lando going really outside of Max here. There's yellow flags behind us. Someone's retiring with a failure somewhere. But who that is and what that is, I don't know. It looks like it's a Williams. No, it's an RB. It's Yuki Tsunoda who is out of the race now. Charles, he's down the road, but he's not like miles away, is he? I might have a run on Lando here if I use some battery. Although he's now going to have DRS. I know. Can we pick some pockets? We have been making some double overtakes recently. Have to be careful not to lose any wing here as these two fight and scrap. We have managed to avoid any loss of bodywork, but we haven't managed to gain any positions, and this is what's going to allow Charles Leclerc to disappear into the distance. What my strategy needs to be now is to stay as close to these two as possible, and then down that Camel Straight next lap to try and take them both. If I can get past both Verstappen and Norris down the Camel Straight in one fell swoop, then hopefully I can keep them at bay with battery usage and defensive driving and try and keep some sort of leash on Charles Leclerc. But that, rather understandably, is going to be easier said than done. It's going to be plus... Oh, it's only 3.6.
3.6 seconds.
I thought it was going to be 4 or maybe even 5 seconds down the road now, but he's not.
Time, 1 minute, 45.2.
45.2 from him. And we are going to do a 45.5, so he's not getting away by that much. Right, as close as you can, Ches. Good. Manageable. When we get over the brow of the hill of Radion, time to start using the battery again. Right, now is where we take both drivers in one go, please. Oh, Max, you've gone so aggressive there. There you go. Oh, get it stopped. Both drivers in one go, but that was risky. We were 3 abreast there. That's a thumbnail moment, isn't it? Right, now offense turns to defense. And I wonder whether I'm going to have enough in the locker to keep them behind. We are running slightly low wings, so the gap is 0.6 currently when he puts his DRS flap wide open, and quite frankly we have got them covered provided I've got the battery. So P2 at the minute looks comfortable-ish provided I don't make any mistakes. So Ferrari 1-2 is looking strong at the moment, but as ever, as is always the question, which will be the 1 and which would be the 2? The gap to Charles Leclerc is coming down, but I am dragging everybody behind me with me at the moment. They're not fast enough to stand a chance of getting past, but they're equally fast enough to not fall out of range of me. So I'm trying to save a bit of battery through this middle sector now, so I've got more of it to deploy in my defensive aid down the straights. To Charles was 3.8. It's now 3.3. Always lose a little bit through there, but we can gain it back again with battery usage through select parts of the circuit. I was saying I don't fancy doing 20 laps on a set of softs, but I might be forced to do 20 laps on a set of softs if I want to stand a chance of catching Charles Leclerc longer term, and just trying to take care of them, sorry, so that I can take advantage of as good a tyre wear as possible, as good a tyre delta as possible at the end of the race. A couple of laps in a row now, I've not quite gotten La Source right, a little bit deep on 2 occasions, but again, able to manage the gap back to Lando, and I've got more battery in the pocket this time, so I'll use that to try and close up on Charles a bit more. Can we get that gap under 2? Yes, we can. His soft tyres are going to be hurting now, and he's probably still got a little ways left to go on them too. Probably only about halfway through that soft stint at the moment. Is now our opportunity over the next 10 or so laps to reel him in and try and make an overtake and throw him into the midst of all the traffic that's behind me as well. I'd love to. You can quite clearly tell now, with the fact that the gap to Charles is tumbling and the gap between Lando and Max Verstappen is growing, that the soft tyres, after just 9 laps, basically had their fill. They have lost their advantage of wear and pace and are no longer the tyre to be on. And I need to do, with my default plan at the minute, 20 laps on them at the end of the race. Now obviously my tyres at the end of the race will go further than their softs have done at the beginning of the race, because these cars at the moment and at the very start were much heavier than our car will be in the second half of the Grand Prix. But it might well be a case of trying to extend these medium tyres as far as we can, hoping that Charles, when he boxes, will be in some traffic when he comes out of the pits, and that will slow him up a bit and hopefully minimise the advantage he'll get from an undercut. We have to hope that he loses time stuck behind other drivers, but with it being such an easy overtaking circuit, I don't know how much time he would actually lose, or whether he'd just scythe his way through. I'd be curious to know where Fernando Alonso is at this stage. That might give us an idea, because we were saying how far up will Alonso get. So far, 17th to 12th. So not bad from Fernando Alonso thus far. A lot of mainly medium runners. There's only a handful of us, 6 in fact. Mainly soft runners, only a handful of us, 6 in fact, was 7, but Tsunoda's retired, that are on the medium tyre. So presumably we're all going medium soft rather than soft medium, but some of those soft runners will be doing 2 stops, but we know for a fact we know for a fact that Max is doing 1. I don't know what Charles is doing. It didn't tell me before when I asked about him, when I asked about teammate, but now I can ask about car in front. Now that I've managed to get myself to second, it might actually tell me what Charles Leclerc's pit strategy is going to be. So let's find out. One imagines that it will be similar to Max's. 1 stop, soft to medium. But let's find out.
And 9 laps old. We think they've got 1 more stop.
1 more stop. And look at the gap. It's plummeting now. It really is. Their tyres are dying. They've done 10 laps and they're dying. They want me to stop lap 24. I'm going to have to try and take these to lap 34 if they're really to give me any chance of getting me to the end. In regards to that final soft set, of any sort of competitiveness left whatsoever. Otherwise, I might as well switch to a 2-stop. It's not point just needlessly hanging on to the idea of a one-stop if it's not going to be the quickest way to get to the finish. We do have another set of medium tyres I can go to. So I could switch at some point to a two-stop, but we would have to make that decision relatively soon. That is indeed DRS range of Charles Leclerc. Now don't be fooled, it's not because I'm quicker than him, it's because his tyres are more worn. It is not a mere head-to-head pace advantage. It is circumstantial, which is not ideal for me towards the end of the race. But if he gets stuck in traffic by pitting early, some are pitting already, so that's Fernando Alonso, I think, in the pits. Or was it Lance Stroll on a two-stop? It was Lance Stroll on a two-stop. Stroll is in and is going soft, medium now. So he is going soft, medium, medium, I would imagine. He could take his mediums to the end from here, to be fair, because I'm planning on doing a 14 lap or so stint on my softs at the end, so I go about the same length of time on my mediums as he could go on his now, having started the race on them with a heavy fuel load. I'm going to try and get as close to lap 30 with these mediums as I can, but I think it's probably a safer bet that Lance is going soft, medium, medium now. Lando is very much a part of this race-winning picture at the minute as well, because if he gets past me at any point, I'll be able to hang on to him, but he is going to be quick. He's not a full second a lap faster than me, but he is quicker than me. We're right with Charles now. We need to get past and try and get as far down the road as possible in the remainder of his soft tyre stint. I don't really want to have him get dragged along by myself and Lando. We want to get past him and then drop him so that he loses as much time as possible on those really warm tyres. So the plan is going to be get past down the Kemmel Straight. Hopefully we can both get past, or he fights with Lando, one of the two. We're definitely going to get past. Lando's too far back, I'm sure. But this is going to be us taking the lead of the race here from our teammate. Now, how long we can hold on to first for once we've all done stops, whether we even stay in first once we've all done our stops, I don't know. It would certainly help if I concentrate on my driving and didn't get my skateboard out over some of those curbs. I'm going to shut up if you don't mind and concentrate on going as fast as possible around the circuit rather than as fast as possible into a wall. We're going to two-stop. It's a risk, but we're two-stopping. I just don't think the one-stop is going to work with my current tyre wear rate. So I'm going to take the decision early. Hope that the Ferrari pit crew don't screw me.
There seems to have been a problem removing the left rear wheel. We need to try and put that behind us, and let's finish the race as strong as possible.
Oh, you could have predicted it. And now we need to come out. Well, the plan was to come out in front of this train.
Okay, one stop to go. Just one stop left in this strategy.
And I'm not come out in front of the train, but I've come out near the front of it, and crucially, I'm going to have DRS as well. So I'm going to get through to the front of this train and lose as little time as possible in doing so, hopefully. Quite frankly, the time cost in the pit stop, plus the time stuck behind these two, it's going to cost me any chance of making the two-stop work, really. We'll make a double overtake here. And now disappear into the distance, but I would not have lost any of the time behind those two. I would have come out in front of them if the pit stop hadn't been botched. Ferrari's pit crew are the worst pit crew I've experienced on any F1 game. So I think we might just have lost any chance we had of winning the race by getting stuck behind those two after a botched pit.
Okay, so all of our tyre pressure data is currently reading 0. Assuming they still look inflated to you, we're going to guess that it's just a bad sensor. Shouldn't be anything to worry about.
We'll be lucky to finish on the podium now, because we lost about 3 seconds in the pits.
6.0 seconds.
And we lost upwards of 4 probably. Stuck behind Hamilton and Perez. So we have to hope that that group at the front are fighting amongst themselves like crazy and costing each other time hand over fist, which I don't think they are. Otherwise I'm not going to make back the time that we've lost.
Lap of the race. Keep this up. Well done.
Despite having much fresher tyres at the end of the race. I definitively absolutely have to stop again because I've only run medium tyres. So I have to put the softs on later. I've got no choice. Otherwise I'll get disqualified. At this point I say Lando will win the race. Look at the gap that we've opened up behind us already. Charles is in the pits now.
In for his stop now.
Hopefully they give him a slow pit stop too, but I bet they don't. He's not the only one in of that lot as well. Verstappen's in too, off his soft tyres onto mediums. Fastest lap of the race again from me. I'm going to come out in front of Charles.
Fastest lap of the race. Okay, gap to the car
and
in
Max.
front. 12.1 seconds.
But of course, I have another pit stop to make. They do not. I just need to book it and hope that Max and Charles fight now and cost each other time. Our fight for the victory, I think, is with Lando Norris at the moment, not with our teammate. Russell and Lando are in. That's very early. They're going to do... Surely they're not going to do... They're going to hards! Oh, medium hard stop for them. The hard tyre is 1.4 seconds per lap slower than the soft. When I saw they were going in on lap 20 or 21, I thought, it's a long way they're going to want to take those softs. They're not going to do that. They're right. They aren't. They've gone to the hards. Game is on again. From what competition did I win that I didn't enter if I just won a 72-inch TV then? Mr. Spam email. I have set the fastest lap of the race. We are now running second. But I've got another stop to make. We will be running first when Piastri boxes. But I've got another stop to make. But those 3 behind are now running back practically 3 abreast like we were earlier in the race. If these 3 do nothing but hurt each other's race time by fighting super hard, then the win is still on. Because these guys are going to be stuck with each other now for a long time. Unless Lando on his hard tyres just doesn't have the pace, we will wait and see. I would very much like them to fight with each other tooth and nail, please. I want the gaps behind to continue to grow so that I have as little gap as possible to have to overturn when I box for my soft tyres around about lap 31-ish. Yep, there you go. 31's exactly what it wants me in. Gentlemen, fight away. Scrap, scrap, scrap. There goes Piastri into the box. We are race leader once more. Lando's starting to gain again now. It was 6 seconds to Lando. It's now 5.9, 5.8 even. 5.7 in fact. These mediums, the first set of mediums we did 16 on. These mediums have done 13. Doesn't bode well for the softs, does it? it's still it's still going to be the fastest way for me to get to the end. It's just not going to be the fastest way for me to win the race. Or it's not going to be the way that I can win the race. I just don't have the pace, I don't think. If Max fought bloody Charles, then I'd stand a chance, but perhaps Max knows that, and he's just waiting until I'm out of the picture, getting himself carried away down the track as far as possible behind Charles Leclerc, to then go for the win later in the Grand Prix, just ensuring that I'm not a factor later on. Who knows? Still pulling away from George Russell in P5 and Piastri in P6, which is where it says I'll come out. I'm wondering whether maybe I should have still stopped when I did, but gone to the hard tyre rather than another set of mediums to then go softs, and just one stop the same way that Lando's doing. Because he's now gaining on me, and as a result also gaining on Charles and Max. And Lando's in with a great shout winning this race, you know.
Nice.
Right, for the second and final time, into the pits. Dear Ferrari pit crew, don't be dickheads. Just don't be dickheads. Again!
Problem attaching the left rear wheel.
5.6 seconds! Why do I bother? Why do I bother? 5 points.
Pit strategy complete. See these tyres through to the end now.
This pit crew are an absolute joke. It's a farce. Chat's right. That was nearly a wing change pit stop, time-wise. I am sick of it. They've effectively, I've done 3 pit stops. I've lost so much time in 2 pit stops that it's counted as a third pit stop's worth, more than a third pit stop's worth of being stood still. I'll be very curious to see if anyone else has had any pit stops that have lasted as long as mine. Lance's was 5.7, 4.9 for me. Charles's was 5. The Ferrari pit crew have screwed over Charles Leclerc as well. Look, 3.3 for Max. And 3.3 for... 2.5 for Sergio. Why are pit crews rubbish? This hopefully will be fastest lap of the race and extend my fastest lap of the race point advantage. Comfortably. 42 flat.
That was the fastest lap of the race. Keep this up. Well done.
No one's matching that without a safety car. Not going to do it. My rear left is hot as well, actually, I've just noticed. It's probably not great. Hindsight's a wonderful thing. What we should have done was pit early. But what I should have done was go on to a set of hards and take those to the end and still do a 1-stop. Rather than pit for these, another set of mediums to then come on to these softs. I'm still slightly gaining, but I'm not gaining by even remotely close to enough to stand a chance of catching the trio before the end of the race, unless they fight like hell. Lando is closing back on the front two, and if they become a trio, I pray they fight like hell, but I fear they'll just follow one another in a DRS train. Lando is now borderline DRS range of the front two. There'll be 5 laps to go as we cross the line. They start to fight at the end of the race. It's what we need to bring ourselves into contention. I'm still busting a gut to try and get there before the end of the race. but I think my gut might bust itself before I make it. Lando, I think, has just made it to within DRS range of the car in front, but obviously that car in front has got DRS on Charles Leclerc right now. Oh man, I have no idea how this race is going to end at this point. Unless they fight, I'm not going to make it. There's a win on the line, lads. Scrap for it at least, please. Don't just let Charles sit there for 20 laps and just sit in his DRS and watch him win the race from behind. I fear that is what's going to happen. And they'll just DRS train. So incredibly frustrating, but it is what it is. But my march towards those front three has now halted. It's stalled at 7 seconds.
In first place.
Verstappen is not in first place. Verstappen is in second place. We've gained 14 seconds or so, but it's not enough. Three laps to go, and for the first time, the gap is the same as it was last lap.
Okay, here's the gap that we're trailing the car ahead by. 6.3
6 seconds. 3 laps. I'm going to get my fastest lap point, but I don't think I'm even going to get a podium. Not unless these guys go crazy. In the final couple of laps, which I don't think they will. You see them at the end just following one another like a procession. I've bust every gut I have. All however many miles of gut that you have in your intestines has been bust to try and catch this trio. Lando's driven his heart out to try and close the gap, and now he's closed the gap. He's quite happy to just sit behind and do nothing, which is lovely. Oh, I should have put the hards on. I should have either stuck to my one stop, which probably was going to be a terrible decision. I probably would have finished further back if I'd have stuck to that one stop, if I'm completely honest. It was definitely the right decision to switch to a different strategy, but I should have stuck with the one stop and gone to the hard tyre rather than switching to the two and doing the medium soft. I probably would have won this race. 2 laps to go as we cross the line. The gap still 5.5 or so. Someone try and take the win off Charles, please. Don't just sit behind him and watch him win the Grand Prix. That would make me so very sad.
A final lap, let's go.
Yeah, final lap of the race. A win would have been on the cards today if I'd have got my strategy right. A win would have been on the cards today if the pit crew weren't the Ferrari pit crew. But alas, we race in red, and our pit crew
catch up with the car ahead. Gap is
also wear red.
Seconds.
Final lap of the race, Verstappen has been sat within 0.3 of Charles Leclerc for 20 laps and done nothing about it. As such, Charles is just going to win the race with ease. I hope at least, surely, someone tries something into the bus stop at the end of the lap, at the end of the race. Please, for the love of God, give us something to watch. The gap's still slightly come down as the laps have gone by, but nowhere near as much as it needed to. Had I put the hard tyre on lap 16, maybe we'd have won the race. Maybe we wouldn't, but I think that probably would have been the best shout. Going medium hard. Norris, Russell, Piastri had the right idea. They just didn't have the pace. We had the pace, but the wrong idea. Is anyone going to do anything into the bus stop? No, they're just going to follow each other home. Probably could have predicted that, couldn't we? Charles Leclerc is going to win. Congratulations, Charles. Enjoy your
And that's the end of the race.
second
We'll see you in
victory
Parc Fermé.
at Spa. He's won in Spa in real life, of course. And now he's done it in virtual life as well. Fernando Alonso, driver of the day. Started 17th. Not sure he finished in the end, but would have been a great recovery drive from him, I'm sure. We'll find out in due course. Congratulations, Charles. It's a case of what could have been for us for the umpteenth time. Alonso 17th to 7th.
Next time out.
17th to 7th is a very good showing indeed. My fastest lap obviously was going to be the fastest lap with me being the only one on the softs at the end. But my previous fastest lap that I'd set on my medium tyres would have been the fastest lap anyway. So we had multiple fastest laps throughout the course of that Grand Prix. Probably 10 plus because of the soft tyres, but definitely could have done it regardless. Sag. It's the first time we've actually not finished on the podium in Spa, actually, after managing to... Oh, hello! Recognition into the 50s. We're on the up and up. In every manner in which... sadness. Every manner in which counts, i.e. the championship. We've gained on Fernando Alonso, but Lando pulls away from me, Verstappen pulls away from me, and Charles Leclerc pulls away from me. If only I'd have gone to the hards. If only the pit crew weren't morons. If only. Such is the way of things with sport. If only. I still don't believe I can upgrade the car anywhere, and that is continually true. I need 60%, but at least I'm now the most recognised driver at the team, and in theory, I am now the #1 driver at Ferrari. So, I suppose there's that. Whoa! Ah, I'm sad, lads. I really am genuinely pretty bummed about that. That was a win that either was taken away from us or we cost ourselves. Probably a mixture of both. Charles DNF'd in Belgium last year. Charles finished 7th in Belgium season 1. So, yeah, first time Charles has won the Belgian Grand Prix since he won it in real life in 2020? 2019? 2021? 20-something. It's not Charles' first win at Spa. It's not Charles' first win this season, but it is his first win in 5 Grand Prix. Zandvoort's not a strong hunting ground for me. Monza could be very good for us, however. Baku, similarly. Singapore was decent for us last season. I could double my points tally and still be second. And there's less than half a season to go. Charles, you've won the championship, my friend. Congratulations. No one is catch. I mean, unless, of course, he DNFs 3 or 4 times, which would be wonderful. We'd love Charles Leclerc to DNF 3 or 4 times, but Charles Leclerc's not going to DNF 3 or 4 times, is he? That's all for this episode. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the watch, regardless of the fact that unfortunately we seem to have thrown away a podium at least, or a win there today. Pit stops have ruined us today. Pit stops have ruined us throughout the course of our time at Ferrari, but at least the DNFs have stopped. But we had to do something about that, and I can't really do anything about the pit stops, unfortunately. We just have to suck them up. That's all for this one. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.